Meanwhile, the results of the Altron FinTech Household Resilience Index for the second quarter of the year have confirmed some relief for households during the first half of the year, but real financial recovery remains painfully slow. Independent analyst Roelof Botha joins us now to unpack the print. Roelof, thanks so much for your time today. So as mentioned there in my intro, on the surface, the numbers look good, but when you dig deeper, you do see a different picture being painted there. What do you make of that? Are households recovering or stabilizing?
I would go for your latter remark, stabilizing, because, and the reason for that is that although the index year on year picked up nicely in real terms, 2.3% is not bad. I mean, that compares to a 0.5% GDP increase. So it looks as if consumers are now better off. But if you look at the average annual improvement in the Altron FinTech Index, since the rate hiking cycle started by the Reserve Bank, which took interest rates to their highest levels in 15 years, despite the absence of demand inflation, which was not a very good idea as far as I'm concerned, that the index is only up by 0.2%, which has also been pointed out by Johan Jedlicke, the MD of Altron FinTech. It's a little bit artificial as well, from the perspective that much of the current impetus in the Altron index is a result of the two-pot system. So there's still a long road ahead before consumers can really feel relief and a better level of recovery from the COVID pandemic. And to obtain that, we need deep interest rate cuts, not this Mickey Mouse 25 bip stuff.
Just on the income dynamics there, you did mention that what we're seeing is sort of artificial on the back of those two-pot system withdrawals. What are you reading from that, considering that many individuals, many households are using the monies to cover living costs and not necessarily emergencies? Does this point to a consumer that's in strain?
Without doubt. We've been following that very closely as well. I'm also involved with the Optimum Investment Group, the most recent winners of the Citywide Discretionary Fund Manager of the Year Award, which I'm pretty proud of from my perspective. But they've also picked up a lot of activity with regard to people dipping into their pension funds, even the surrenders. The surrenders of long-term insurance premiums have also been climbing a little bit. And all of these issues are signs that consumers are still under pressure. If you consider that the percentage of your disposable income that the average household spends on servicing debt, in other words, paying for the interest, went from 6.7% to 9.3%. Now, no rocket science required. That means that consumers, ever since the rate hiking cycle started, and reached those ridiculously high levels, they've just had less money to spend. And because of the lack of growth initiatives through creating infrastructure, etc., and all the incompetence and corruption in the public sector of this country, we are not seeing the growth, we are not seeing the employment creation. But if they can just lower the interest rates, that's a quick fix. If they can lower interest rates tomorrow by 200 basis points, I can guarantee the viewers that we will have 3% growth within 18 months from now.
And I wonder how possible that is, considering that we're now anchoring inflation at 3%, Roelof. Maybe let's talk about the short-term impact that could have on borrowing costs as well as wage growth.
Yes, I was aghast when I saw that 3% inflation point. At least Minister Godongwana managed, I think that was his doing, to convince them that there should be some flexibility. So effectively, we now have an inflation target range of 3 to 4% instead of 3 to 6%. This is really bad news. I mean, anchoring inflation is just the most ridiculous concept I've ever heard of. Because the minute the rand starts to depreciate again, and it will happen, it's inevitable. The rand will depreciate at some point in time, probably within the next 6 months. Will make our imported intermediary inputs more expensive. It will raise the price of oil, petrol, and diesel. And we are going to have higher inflation. And boom, they're going to cut the anchor because they can't stop that. You can't stop higher oil prices by raising interest rates, but they will. When
Yeah.
inflation goes beyond 4%, they're going to raise interest rates again. Now, any prospective home buyer that's been waiting for the right moment to actually to be able to afford mortgage repayments, this is a very bad news for them because it's very risky to do that right now. It was not a very good decision. It seems as if the Monetary Policy Committee is confusing an emerging market economy with an advanced economy. It takes the United States of America 5 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days to produce South Africa's annual GDP. We are not America. We are an emerging market economy on the southern tip of the African continent, and we need growth policies. We need much lower interest rates in this country, and I wish the MPC would wake up to this reality.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about the SARB, they've been very clear about their mandate being around price stability and not necessarily growth. And I'm wondering whether, when looking at that new target, what you have to say about, SARB Governor Lesetja Kganyago talking about our competitiveness as an emerging market and, targeting that inflation with that of our peers.
Quite frankly, I call it mumbo jumbo. We should become more competitive because we are expanding our manufacturing output. The minute you do that, the minute you manufacture more products, you are lowering your unit cost per production. And perhaps the MPC hasn't spotted this very important data point, and that is that South Africa's manufacturing sector, the unutilized capacity, is higher than it was before COVID. So what has been happening as a direct result of the record high interest rates is that the lack of demand for manufactured products has now meant that your manufacturing, on average, overhead unit costs have increased. So the MPC's overly restrictive monetary policy stance has in fact worsened inflationary pressures in South Africa.
Yeah.
And by the way, a grade 8 pupil in economics can prove this, and they understand this.
All right, Roelof, let's leave it there. I mean, of course, despite what the SARB could do to improve growth, we are seeing some sort of green shoots coming into the economy, from being removed off the grey list to that S&P credit upgrade to, sentiment really improving when it comes to our fiscal situation as well. So hopefully that does start filtering through to the economy and the person on the ground, the regular citizen like you and I. Roelof, thanks so much for your time yet again. That was independent analyst Roelof Botha.